goes on to like
mentally developed.
Alright, we're recording again.
That's being
then he goes on to say that he is mentally developed.
Yeah, he's just living and trying to meet his life. Yeah.
He's trying to meet his wife.
Aren't we all? I don't know.
I looked up what wondering what Ku Klux Klan means.
You don't have a...
They're so idiotic, it means
card?
the name doesn't mean anything.
So what,
Ku Klux
is he?
Klan. Like Circle Clan. I'm Circle. I'm like, what? Maybe it has deeper symbolism. No, my mom and I researched it and it comes from like a Greek word. It doesn't mean anything. Ku Klux Klan. It doesn't mean anything. They're so idiotic. They don't even have a name that means anything.
Well, they gave some meaning later.
Yeah, they definitely have
Yeah,
a
that is pretty
meaning.
ridiculous.
Ku Klux Klan. It's just a empty name.
Anyway. Are we beginning again?
Okay, so let's read some more.
We have it recording, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have.
So, I'm going to keep reading. Okay. I told him in a moment of exasperation that he seemed to be arguing the desirability of one more world war, and that I doubted that human life on this planet would survive such an outcome. He looked at me sharply and long. I girded myself for still additional irrationalities, banalities, indecencies. Instead, this. There's a side of everyone that's mean as can be. There's another side that's good, like my 7-year-old daughter can be most of the time. What makes the difference is how you live. If you've got a lousy life, the meanest wins. If you've got things pretty good, you have a better chance of being nice to others. The same goes with countries. When a country is in bad shape, its people turn sour and vice versa. We'll always have wars where you have a lot of people not having their next meal to take for granted. If the people with lots gave to the people with little, there might be less trouble between countries. A beginning that in thinking about wars. A beginning... What? A beginning agenda for psychologists as well, to try to comprehend how such sentiments often present and unrecognized and even often present and unrecognized in even the most truculent of people might have become harnessed to a given nation's, a given continent's, a given world's social policies.
Okay.
Children, here's a
To me,
In his
That's not a
argument previous.
well, it doesn't. It seems to me like he's completely off topic. He's not even arguing about scapegoats in that last second half of the second to last paragraph.
But not only that, his argument's flawed. To say people are nicer when they're richer is not true. I mean,
Those who are unhappy are less likely to want peace.
was it that his quote, or that was the Ku Klux Klan member's quote?
It was a Ku Klux.
Yeah, but like at the beginning, he's talking about how differences between us cause war, and then at the end, he's saying that not having enough to know where your next meal is coming from causes war. He's arguing the next guy's viewpoint, it seems to me.
But he's saying like that's the difference between the people that cause wars and like the fact that they're not well off.
Well, but if you look at like
that's their difference. There's the people who are well off and the people who aren't.
well, but like between Northern Ireland's Catholics and Protestants, neither side is less well off. I mean, I would consider both of them pretty equal.
But it still falls under the category of having differences.
Well, yeah, so that's how he begins, and then he ends
Difference of
with a
religion.
completely different viewpoint, it seems to me.
Difference of religion and difference of economic
It's
status.
failed rhetoric.
Failed rhetoric.
What he was trying to do is go from a point where you agree with him to a point where you've changed your opinion and he didn't do it right. The argument, you go from a point where you know your reader will agree with you.
Yeah.
And you move.
You say something factual so
Yeah.
the reader begins to trust you, and then you say something plausible, and then you go for like a
And
point.
you go from there until at the end the reader is supposed to go, suddenly I agree with you. That's so weird. But unfortunately, it didn't work. Okay, let's continue.
Crowd watching.
Failed rhetoric.
Failed rhetoric.
Yes, if we're arguing about it, it must be failed.
Well,
His uses had flaws. He didn't keep with his thesis.
yeah,
Okay, well, can we identify a clear thesis in this piece?
is that we crave scapegoats, targets to absorb our self-doubts, our feelings of worthlessness and hopelessness. But that's not really like,
pretty much
yeah, that's more just like stating a fact and not like,
scapegoats, not why they cause war.
yeah.
So no
Targets to absorb our self-doubts, our feelings. How does self-doubts, feelings of worthlessness and helplessness, how does that tie into war?
And that doesn't
Because
include
that hits the Catholics and Protestants against the Packies.
and the poor versus the rich countries.
Does anyone have their whiteout tool?
Yes.
Actually, mine's over there.
No, in the AP test it was like called liquid,
Liquid paper?
no, it was called liquid, it was something really creepy.
Liquid correction fluid?
Yeah, liquid correction, it was called correction fluid. That's what it was. You're not allowed to bring in correction fluid. And the whole class was just like, fuck.
So you had it in your classroom?
Alright.
What? No, that was the other day.
We need to move on.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Is this a lower score, higher score?
Well, I think
Low, I don't like
What-
lower.
I think what he's trying to do is tie in the fact that, like, when you're in a poor economic situation, then you're looking for somebody to beat up. So for, like, the KKK member, he beats up on racial differences. And the countries, you know, or the religious factions are against each other because, well, that's what they've always done. And so if they brought in another thing, they would stop fighting with each other and fight against the new group. So his thing isn't so off. I think we just aren't necessarily getting it. Like, he's pointing out that the Ku Klux Klan member is fighting against somebody else, but maybe there's more reason to it. Like, he's in an economic hardship, so he's finding another way to
So
express
we have
it.
to look at the
So
definition
he-
of a scapegoat,
the
is finding
scapegoat-
someone else to blame.
Yeah.
And
So it's like he is a scapegoat, in turn passing on his scapegoatedness
Scapegoatishness.
to another
He's not
scapegoat.
very clear.
It's like a long cycle.
yeah,
We know that his thing is about scapegoats, but he doesn't like, he's not blatant about
he
it.
doesn't
Yeah, he's
express
not-
how each of his examples.
So is that a pro or a con?
And he has
The
to
fact that
link
he's
them together
really
very well.
Subtle.
subtle, very subtle.
Yeah. Wait, what, Sharon?
So he could be overly
What?
subtle, which would be.
He's overly subtle. He doesn't
Yeah.
link them very well.
I can't find it.
Wait, so did we ever get we got a clear thesis though, right?
Yeah.
Fairly clear.
But that's that's gonna be like, it depends on who's
Did we
reading
find
it.
it?
It's either like,
Because like we were almost going to be like.
because if we were, if we were reading it like we are right now, then it's like, okay, I can see what he's saying.
Like he kind of.
But for somebody who's just like skimming,
Like
the
everything.
scapegoat, somebody who's not economically and socially
Let's
and
read this and then.
educationally privileged, would flip through it and be like,
Found it.
fuck.
Standing up. Just kidding, Travis. Oh, okay, you're not looking. Just kidding.
Alright. I think we need to move on.
We
What-
have half
Well,
an
I
hour.
didn't like that one.
Yeah, we have half an
Would you
hour.
I
just-
think
right?
that we should do 5 because that seemed to take a long time.
Scapegoat him.
Yes, scapegoat him.
Alright, are we done with this one?
What are we rating it?
Yeah, what are we rating this one?
I think it was worse than number 2. I think we should bump up number 1 and number 2 and give this one a 2.
I think we should bump up number 1 to like a 6 or 7, and then bump up the number 2 to like a 4. Yeah, and then give this one
6, 4, and 2?
2 or 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a 6, 4, 2.
Sorry, Julia. Maybe it's just as we're going, we're getting more.
Pessimistic.
Yeah.
No.
God.
Well, I think that the number
The
4,
next one's
so...
like not complete sentences, like burning children. You're like, oh, this is emotionally.
Alright, stopping now. Alright, Julie.